Let's now focus on an issue that's pretty controversial, and that is that of abortion. We've got a lot of debates that's had over the past few weeks after a leaked draft opinion of the U.S. Supreme Court looking at a case where it ultimately could mean the issue of abortion is put back into the hands of states. So we're still waiting the actual release of that opinion, but since the draft opinion was leaked, it's sparked all kinds of debate and a lot of political rhetoric from all sides of this situation. But here in Illinois, we've got some of the most liberal abortion laws on the books. Governor J.B. Pritzker, with his political campaign, is actually going to be in East St. Louis later on today to talk about the importance of having access to safe and legal abortion. His campaign putting out that message and expecting that's going to be coming up here at 9 o'clock. But today marks a day that some have not looked forward to, and that is the end of parental notification of abortion, a law that was passed. How long ago was this ultimately passed here in Illinois? Well, somebody who's got all the details on that is the March for Life Chicago director, Kevin Grillo, joins us here on WMAY. Kevin, thanks for taking time. Lay it out there for us. Where did this law come from, and is this something that is going to lead to negative consequences all up and down the state, not just for state residents, but for out-of-state residents? Good morning.
Good morning, Greg. Absolutely, this is going to lead to negative consequences. This is why Governor Pritzker, when he signed it on December 17th, it was a Friday. He didn't promote it. He didn't hold a press conference around it. It's something that he buried in the news because they crammed through this bill during the October veto session and actually tacked it on to a probate guardian amendment that had nothing to do with parental rights. So the removal of parental rights and parental notification, 72% of Illinois people were against it. They wanted to keep it in place, and they wanted to keep parents' rights front and center. But this is a very tragic day to remove parents being notified when an abortion clinic is performing a surgery on their daughter.
So this was signed back in December of 2021, and I remember the debate happening on this measure earlier in that year, last year, and there was a lot of talk about what was in place at that time, and that was a court process that allowed for certain individuals, minor girls, to not have to follow the requirement to notify their parents. Talk about that process that was in place until today when the end of parental notification kicks in.
So it's important to note that the minor daughter did not have to notify her parents. It was the responsibility of the clinic on the law. And there was even an opt-out process that existed in the law that was passed in 1995 and went into effect in 2013. And that parental notification put a burden on the clinic to contact the guardian. However, that also could have been bypassed through a judicial bypass. But this move repeals any of that. And so now a minor can have an abortion in Illinois effective today without their parents ever knowing. And this impacts neighboring states. Illinois just became the only state in the Midwest to remove any kind of parental involvement in abortion. No other state across the Midwest has that kind of loose, permissive laws in place.
What do you think that's going to mean for the number of out-of-state residents coming into Illinois, not just those who are adults, but those who are minor children when it comes to getting access to abortion in Illinois?
And I think people are going to use it as a way to push minors. This is something that is very dangerous for someone, say they've got an older boyfriend that wants to push this young girl into having an abortion that got pregnant. They can now just travel across the state line. There's no regulations in place for Illinois for that. So you're going to see a number increase. And already in 2020, the Illinois Department of Health reported 1,180 abortions on girls who are 17 and under. And that includes 88 abortions on some girls who are 14 and younger. And now none of those parents are going to be notified.
We're talking with Kevin Grillo. He is the director of March for Life Chicago. Today, June 1st, 2022, is the first day that parental notification is repealed in the state of Illinois. A law passed in 1995. It took a lot of court wrangling to get it to take effect in 2013, Kevin. And you talked about the judicial bypass process that was available for minors to get a judge to say, well, the clinic doesn't have to tell your parents because of certain circumstances. How often was that used? And we always hear about, incest or parental abuse being the reason that we have to have parental notification done away with. How often did the judicial bypass happen when it was in effect? And how often are cases of abortion stemming from abuse or rape or incest?
Overall, in the U.S., there's less than 1% of abortions are performed on someone in a case of rape or incest. So that is a very small percentage of the cases. Additionally, the judicial bypass numbers were used. It's just those numbers are not reported by the Illinois Department of Health or other places. And some of that gets into the very fact of it is a safety measure. So the public promotion, those numbers are not readily available, but it was used, and judges can have used that process. It was an access point, but now this is something that, Illinois has moved into company with North Korea, China, Canada, Vietnam. There's only 5 countries in the world, according to the Washington Post, in a study of 198 countries with 1 million people or more, only 5 of those perform abortions through all 9 months. U.S. is one of them, along with North Korea and China, and now Illinois is pushing parents out of that completely. So this is a very radical, extreme situation compared to neighboring states, but compared to the U.S., compared to the world.
Kevin, for those listening, they hear you're a man. What role do you have in this? Some may say that you have no right to speak about this issue.
Greg, this is a human rights issue. It is clear from when science identifies, from the moment of conception, unique individual DNA of either a woman or a man. That is, in pregnancy, this is something that is a distinct person, and that mother is continuing. So we're talking about 2 people here. So anytime we're talking about removing the life of another person, this is something that strikes to the core of every person in our community and our country. So the ability to segregate by men or women, I think, is a great tragedy. In fact, the fact that many men have moved away from any kind of responsibility in the children that they're taking care of or that they have brought forth, that has actually been a huge problem on our society. More men need to step up. So pushing them out of the conversation doesn't do that. It just negates responsibility.
Talking with Kevin Grillo. He is the director of March for Life Chicago, and today marks the first day that parental notification being repealed in the state of Illinois. Kevin, finally here, what are the next steps? What can March for Life or others that want to restrict abortion access do in the state of Illinois?
People who want to make a difference and stand up for life can come out on July 9th at 2 p.m. on Saturday at Federal Plaza, where, again, the March for Life Chicago will be gathering thousands from across the Midwest to stand up to these extreme laws and to really make a clear present stance for life. That's July 9th, Saturday at 2 p.m., where we'll have the Dobbs Rally and March in Federal Plaza.
Kevin Grillo, appreciate you taking the time this morning, and we'll likely talk about this issue and more because it's not just an issue dealing with health and access to certain things, but also it's a political issue heading into an election year. Greatly appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks so much for your time, Greg. Appreciate it.
It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.